happy, Wilson shell-shocked. Gloucester boss David Humphreys was happy to get the job done against Cardiff Blues as they sealed a Challenge Cup semi-final place. The 46-26 victory saw Ross Moriarty, Tom Marshall, Jonny May, Mark Atkinson and Henry Purdy cross as they cut loose at Kingsholm. After the win, Humphreys was pleased with the performance but mostly the result as they now prepare to face La Rochelle in the Final Four. In Cup Rugby it is all about getting the result. This season we have played well in most games but have not been picking up the wins, the boss told Press Association Sport following an entertaining European fixture on Saturday. Tonight was a big step forward as we knew how important the game was. We were a bit loose in the first half and were on the wrong end of the refereeing decisions, but we took control and won the second half comprehensively. Switching from 12 to 10 was a big ask so early in the game, but Billy 12 Trees was outstanding in implementing our game plan. We took our chances tonight, but La Rochelle will be difficult as they have won 13 on the bounce, but away from home, we can play with freedom. Meanwhile, Cardiff boss Danny Wilson lamented how his side fell away in the closing stages of the game at Kingsholm as they bow out. For 50 minutes, we were really good and should have been further ahead as we led 26-20 and had most of the field positions, he said. What unfolded in the next 15 to 20 minutes was unacceptable and I'm shell-shocked. To lose 46-26 was tough as we gave away 3 soft tries in quick succession. Gloucester finished well, but I'm incredibly frustrated at the way we collapsed. Saracens put on a masterclass of knockout rugby against Glasgow on Sunday as they won 38-8 to book a Champions Cup semi-final spot. The victory sets up a mouth-watering clash with Munster at the Aviva Stadium as tries from Chris Ashton, Marcelo, Bosch and Barritt scored their tries. Owen Farrell was man of the match after an 18-point haul. Mark McCall's men were outstanding before the break, opening up an 11-point buffer through Ashton's first try and 3 Farrell penalties. Finn Russell did get the Scottish outfit on the scoreboard in the first half and Lee Jones' effort reduced the arrears 7 minutes into the second period, but Saracens were ultimately too strong. Bosch ended the game as a contest with a score 20 minutes from time before Barritt and Ashton rubber-stamped the win with a 3-pointer, despite a late Ryan Wilson consolation. Glasgow have come a long way under the stewardship of Gregor Townsend, but they struggled to handle the sheer ferocity of the defending champions. After making the quarter-finals for the first time, this proved to be a step too far, despite their battling qualities keeping the scoreline close in the early exchanges. Saracens created opportunities at will in the opening 10 minutes and could have scored 2 tries when Ashton and Sean Maitland crossed the whitewash out wide. However, following some excellent cover defense by the visitors, both were adjudged to be in touch and the Englishman had to be content with a single Farrell penalty. The Warriors' rearguard excellence was then rewarded with a Russell 3-pointer, but the pressure was unrelenting and successive efforts off the tee by the hosts standoff took Saracens 9-3 in front. Townsend's men were failing to stop the Premiership outfit on the gain line and they were finally breached after another flowing move. Forwards and backs combined before Barrett's superb offload found Ashton and the 2 lone-bound wing did the rest, weaving inside 1 attempted tackle and touching down. Farrell's missed conversion meant that the damage was not quite as severe as it could have been at the interval, but their head coach required a response in the second period. It was one he duly received. Russell almost scampered away after a rare Saracens error, but they were not to be denied for long as the fly-half's cross-field kick was collected by Jones, who handed off Ashton and went over. Glasgow knew that there would be a response from the home side and once again they failed to cope. To their credit, the Warriors were gallant in defense, but they had to break at some point and Bosch took advantage when the hole opened for him. Farrell then made it a 3-score game from the tee and it was the lead Saracens needed to open up. They displayed some wonderful hands in the last few minutes and deservedly touched down twice more via Barritt and Ashton to complete a fine performance. Townsend's side did have the final word through Wilson, but it was very much Saracens' day. The team were outstanding. Saracens director of rugby Mark McCall praised his team's effort as they progressed to a 5th consecutive European semi-final on Sunday. The reigning Champions Cup holders beat Glasgow 38-13 at Allianz Park in a fine showing and McCall was understandably a happy boss. It was a really strong performance all the way through the game, said McCall when talking to Saracens' official website after the match. I thought we came out of the blocks really well. The only issue at halftime was that the dominance and the good play that we had wasn't really reflected on the scoreboard. I think we did really well in the second half to keep on doing what we do and not get impatient, and we just kept on doing the right things to pull away. Saracens scored 4 tries on the day, but it was a whole team performance that most pleased McCall, who added, "For me the team were outstanding. We were against an opponent who have been preparing for this game for a couple of months and I thought we were really engaged and really alive throughout the game, ready for most of the things they threw our way. It was a really pleasing performance." Saracens will face Munster in their semi-final, which will take place at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin, a prospect McCall cannot wait for. It's going to be a very special day, he said. There's going to be 50,000 Munster fans. We all know there's an emotional element to this game and making sure that we're able to cope with that when it comes along is going to be one of our tasks in the next few weeks. Clermont will face Leinster in the Champions Cup semi-finals after they saw off Toulon 29-9 in a gritty quarter-final win on Sunday. 2 tries were scored and they went to Noah Nakaitasi and Damien Penod, with Morgan Parra and Camille Lopez's boots also helping to set up a last-4 clash with the Irish province in Lyon over the weekend of April 22 to 23. Europe's top tier has generally produced an excellent spectacle at the last 8 stage. The teams have opted for verve and ambition over conservatism, but these sides proceeded to serve up a dire contest, even accounting for the sodden conditions, in an period which ended locked at 6-6. Try-scoring openings were in short supply. They had to be content with 2 penalties apiece for Para and Lee Halfpenny before the Clermont scrum half edged the hosts ahead after the interval. Halfpenny once again equalised from the tee before Auvergne finally broke through when Nikita crossed the whitewash. After that try, Toulon seemed to lose heart and Damien Penaud's final minute effort confirmed their passage into the last 4, where they will face Leinster. It is an encounter which will not live long in the memory. With the inclement weather forcing errors, these top 14 outfits looked to the power game early on and never altered those tactics. Clermont were the first to display their physicality, forcing an infringement after 4 minutes from which Para took them ahead. They had a further opportunity to increase that buffer, but after the scrum half skewed his effort wide, the visitors managed to gain some much needed territory. Like Toulon, Auvergne also struggled to maintain their discipline without the ball, and Halfpenny was more than happy to line up shots at goal. He missed his first attempt at the uprights but was on target soon after as the 3-time champions levelled matters. As the half wore on, continuity remained an issue with both teams lacking any sort of attacking structure. That was demonstrated by Laurent Bulbe's rather comical intervention after the prop got in the way of teammate Eric Escanda's pass. He knocked on and then compounded the mistake by conceding a penalty in attempting to win the ball back, an effort Para easily converted. That advantage was soon cancelled out, however, when Halfpenny kicked his second 3-pointer as the teams went into the break level. The second half produced much the same fare. Both outfits relied on their packs and the kicking game of their halfbacks to find field position, but neither could really assert any control. Para and Halfpenny continued the pattern of the match by trading penalties in the third quarter before Clermont finally broke the deadlock. For one of the few times in the match, they managed to keep possession, forcing Toulon to commit bodies to the ruck. That opened the space on the outside and Nikita benefited, touching down for the decisive score. Toulon were rudderless and, after Lopez's drop goal and Para's penalty ended the game as a contest, Penaud went over late on to seal Clermont's semi-final berth. Chance Cup semi-finals confirmed. Victories on Sunday for Saracens and Clermont have confirmed the line-up for this season's Champions Cup semi-finals. Defending champions Saracens will travel to Dublin to take on Munster at the Aviva Stadium. Clermont meanwhile will face Leinster at the Matmut Stadium de Gerland in Lyon. Both fixtures will be played over the weekend of April 22-23, with dates and kick-off times to be confirmed by EPC Rugby. Saracens are the only returning semi-finalists from last season's competition, while Clermont are the only side in the last 4 yet to win a European title. Meanwhile, in the Challenge Cup, top seeds Ospreys were knocked out on Sunday to set up 2 French Anglo clashes between Stade Francais and Bath, while La Rochelle will take on Gloucester. Champions Cup semi-finals 2016/2017 to be played on April 22-23. Munster v Saracens, Aviva Stadium, Dublin. Clermont v Leinster, Matmut Stadium de Gerland, Lyon. Challenge Cup semi-finals 2016/2017 to be played on April 21/22/23. Stade Francais v Bath, Stade Jean Bouin, Paris. La Rochelle v Gloucester, Stade Marcel de Flandre, La Rochelle.